libs, let's just put it that way, for like the last 2-3 years. But at the time, I was too afraid to deal with the backlash. I didn't want to be smeared as some sort of racist for acknowledging that rioting was taking place. This time around, I'm not going to do that because I felt terrible that I wasn't doing my job. I let my audience down. Even if the audience doesn't want to hear it, I don't care.
In this video, we join Anna Kasparian on the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian has to explain to her co-host how violent the left is, referring to the rioting in LA. With that, let's watch Anna Kasparian try to wake up her co-hosts as to why Americans are tired of the Democrats' BS.
I'm so sick of injustice. Like, I just want something to go right. But
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just feels like until we're able to stack a couple of electoral wins up here, there's just nothing standing in the way of these people except for the courts, which, you know, they had to bring the dude back from El Salvador, which is nice. They actually, I mean, you know, it was weeks later, but they actually listened to the court order. Now they're gonna arrest him and take him to trial, which, shoot, I want to see the trial. Y'all got criminal facts on this guy, present them to the public. And that was kind of the whole point.
Yes.
And that's why I think what some of these people are doing in downtown LA is a mistake. And I understand the rationale in terms of being angry and feeling like there's a lawlessness to what Trump is doing. And so there's a lawlessness that seems to be taking over portions of the protest. However, like, bro is back in America from the El Salvadorian gulag because of public pressure and the courts.
Right.
There's just like a perception that, like, yo, what you're doing is insane. And, you know, throwing rocks and burning cars on fire and putting the Mexican flag on it so that people watching this on the internet and on the news would be like, oh yeah, Mexico, reckless, crazy, send them back. Like, why? Like, I don't know why you would want to message that, but I do think, you know, and we've talked about this so much, you and I specifically, winning on messaging, winning on convincing and persuasion seems to be lost to a lot of people on the left. Like, they're just above it. It's like, my cause is so righteous, I don't have to convince anybody. Anybody's not with my cause is the devil. Which I'm just like, guys, that's a freaking mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
if you're involved in any form of political activism, and your response to someone who might not be in the know, like, you have to keep in mind, this is a mistake that a lot of people make, myself included, Cenk included. Cenk makes this mistake all the time when he wants to like jump in and like rage against like a story that I'm covering, because he's assuming everyone in the audience already knows the facts, they know the details. No, they don't know necessarily.
Yeah, isn't bringing Abrego Garcia back from El Salvador a real win for the American people? This guy's a complete moron. He said it's good because the only reason it happened was because of public pressure and judges. No. Only one of those things is true. No one, except a handful of psychopaths in the public, gave two shits about Abrego Garcia. He's an MS-13 gang member. He'd been here for 14 years. He had his time here, okay? He's like, they bring him back, then they go and arrest him. Why wouldn't they arrest him? What are you talking about? This idiot goes, what they're doing in downtown LA is a mistake. And Anna goes, yes, because while I don't agree with her on much, she has a brain. It's good versus evil, okay? But then he's like, and they're all lawless because Trump is lawless. I guarantee Anna wasn't saying, oh yeah, the disingenuous, hateful, lying left, man. They can't just condemn this and say it's wrong. How many acts of violence does the left have to commit before they acknowledge they're the party of violence? You want to keep talking about January 6th? Well, this stuff happens with you all the time. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Necessarily. People tune in to get informed and then hear our analysis. Like, don't make the mistake of thinking people know what you know. So if you are an activist and your go-to line in response to someone who might not be in the know, who might be ignorant of the facts is, I'm so tired, it's not my job to inform you or educate you. No, you're gonna fucking lose. You're gonna fucking lose.
That's crazy. That's just a bad. And again, I'm not against the protests. I'm not against people being angry, but I just think like burning cars on fire and associating that with the people they're trying to kick out of the country is a mistake.
Yeah.
Like
I totally
that's just
agree.
I like again the stuff with the Venezuelans and sending people to death camps and all of that in El Salvador. Like the coverage, the public pressure, the courts being like, bro, this is against the law of like the administration felt the pressure. Like I was convinced this guy was not coming back.
Me too. Me too. And look, our justice system, sometimes they get things wrong, of course. And sometimes it takes a while for them to do the right thing or for things to play out in the, judicial branch and finally get justice when an injustice has occurred. But that's far more effective than throwing cinder blocks at the heads of police officers in Los Angeles or destroying buildings, doing graffiti, lighting things on fire. You lose people. You lose me. Honestly, cool. You lose me entirely.
It looks cool to people who are 22 on the internet, sure. But the and like what people got to understand about America and especially older people, one of the biggest appeals of our country is this notion of the rule of law, that the society is not lawless. There are rules and there are order. And that's what people really enjoy about being in this country. And that if you commit a crime, for the most part, they're gonna prosecute you. Save it. I know our criminal justice system leaves a lot to be desired. It's not perfect, but take it from somebody who has Haitian immigrant parents, know a bunch of people who are from Nigeria, all over the world, where it's like, bruh, the law is kind of BS. Like it's really not a lot of justice in those places. It's really not a lot of order. There's a lot of precarity to life in those.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Those places where people come from. So people feel the warm embrace of a society that feels like there is order and there's a law to it. Like you could say whatever you want about that law, but it's appealing to a vast swath of the public. And the opposite is what people don't want.
Yeah.
It's what people like, hold on, there's people that are going to like disrupt our order in our nice, orderly lives. No, I'm not with that. And so, yeah, I just think the optics of smashing cops in the head. And again, I understand the cathartic feeling as somebody, who back in the days had harbored a lot of negative feelings about police, and especially LAPD, NYPD, these notorious police departments who have done some legitimately depraved criminal shit in the past, okay? Like I understand the catharsis of seeing these guys, get stoned or whatever. I get it, but sorry guys, in politics, we really don't got room for catharsis, y'all.
No, we don't.
And
by the way, it's wrong. It's totally wrong to target random cops who might have done absolutely nothing wrong and take your anger out at them through a violent act, like throwing a brick at their head. Like it's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable.
Did you see what just happened there? He goes, I understand the catharsis. Okay, first of all, I don't. Regardless of what's happened to me in my past, I don't understand the catharsis of trying to hurt anyone, much less police. But then he said, in politics, you can't have those catharsis. So his only concern about the riots is the optics. You just can't do it in politics. Anna has to help him down the path, point out, no, it's just wrong. They're right and wrong. Actually, this is the furthest thing from political. Just as a human being, if you have a soul, you look at that and you say there's one side that's good and another side that's evil. Because you're in the Democrat Party and you're so entrenched, you just expose the way you think right there. If it were politically expedient, you'd be all for these riots and say, burn it all down, man. But because optically it's not good for you politically, that's why they shouldn't do it. Thank goodness for politics, huh? Or this guy would just be for anarchy. You see what happens when you have no moral foundation, when you don't have the Bible, when you don't have a shared set of values? It's subjective crap like this. This guy thinks he's saying something good, but he's not even condemning it. He's saying, I don't think it's good, but politically, not because it's right or wrong. What a great example. Let's wrap it up.
And look, you guys need to know like my more broad view on what's happening with the riots in LA. I look back at the way I covered the riots in the summer of 2020 and onward, and I was a coward, totally cowardly. I will admit that. I totally engaged in the mostly peaceful protests narrative, even though I knew that wasn't the case. And it was because I was terrified. I was terrified of dealing with the backlash that I now very clearly am open to accepting, because I've been dealing with it from like from the rad libs, let's just put it that way, for like the last 2-3 years. But at the time, I was too afraid to deal with the backlash. I didn't want to be smeared as some sort of racist for acknowledging that rioting was taking place. This time around, I'm not going to do that because I felt terrible that I wasn't doing my job. I let my audience down. Even if the audience doesn't want to hear it, I don't care. Like, respecting your audience means you tell them the truth. They can do with that information what they please if they decide.
Wow. It is rare to see a political commentator on either side of the aisle, especially Democrats, acknowledge when they make a mistake. I mean, it's times like these that I remember why I'm a little more, or I offer Anna a little more latitude before I say what an idiot Democrat she is. Because I see, at least in her eyes, from her point of view, which I don't agree with, but from her point of view, I do think she's trying to tell the truth. I mean, can you imagine being on the left and saying what she just said? You'd have like friends disown you, every other commentator talking about you. I'm not trying to kiss her ass, and she's done a lot against the right and MAGA, and I understand if you don't feel the same way. It happens on the right too. People say what they think their audience wants them to hear, but maybe they disagree with it just a little bit. I'm sure it's a hard position sometimes. You want to give your audience what they want, but you probably shouldn't do that at the expense of the truth. But we want to hear from you. What did you think about this conversation between Anna Kasparian and her co-host? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.